Hello, my name is Catherine Barrientos, and my member and I did the research topic on violent crime rates. We are in the CSM 15 class with Professor Dr. Bishop, and this is my partner.
Hello, I'm Noah.
And Noah will be taking on the next slide.
All right, so there are many crimes in the justice system, but crimes such as murder or non negligent manslaughter, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault are classified as violent crimes. Violent crimes are also known as violent felonies, and they are generally incidents that involve force or the threat of force. And Catherine will help us out in the next slide.
This is a little bit more background information, the definitions of the crimes right here down below. First, we have murder. Murder is initially the causing of death to one person or to another person, whether that being extreme or not. For the next one, we have robbery. Robbery is a completed or attempted theft, whether that being in a convenience store or a mall, depending where the area is, and so forth. The next definition, we have a rape. Rape is a forced sexual intercourse, that being one person not giving consent to another person. And last but not least, we have aggravated assault, and that is an attack or attempted attack with a weapon to one person or to many other people, whether them having an injury or not. It is considered an aggravated assault. Now I will be passing it on to Noah.
All right, so for this project, we had to identify a gap in the existing literature, develop a hypothesis, and research questions. So, after taking a peek at the existing literature, where we saw that there wasn't a lot of information out there about why crimes were being committed and why there was a lot of increase in crime rates rather than decreasing. And the hypothesis we developed was if rates of robbery are continuously increasing at higher rates than other violent crimes, then robbery will be the most common violent crime. And then the research questions we also came up with were how old are violent crime offenders in the US? What is the difference in crime rate between rural cities and larger cities? And number three, do income and crime rate affect one another? And these were just research questions to get a better grasp of what the crime situation looked like in America. And Catherine will take us to the next slide.
We have a specific introduction with this. We will be investigating the rates and nature of robberies, along with comparing the growth to other violent crimes, and also being able to understand the causes or even factors of robbery, and also being able to identify the characteristics of offenders. Now, Noah will be taking on the next slide.
All right. So after our research and reading research articles and looking at data charts and mostly the FBI, they provided a lot of information that we used. We found that aggravated assault was the most common violent crime, and robbery was actually in second place. We also found that locations of high opportunity and non English speaking communities were places that experienced the most violent crime, and that the day of the week did not really affect violent crime rates. So crimes were not committed more on Saturdays or Wednesdays than other days. All right, and then Catherine will take us to the next slide.
As right here stated, we have the characteristics and the rates of murders that are committed. And we, along right here in the green area, we have murder being 1.4%. Over here in the yellow is rape, which is 8.0%. And over here in the red, we have robbery, with that being 25.6%. And over here in the blue, we have aggravated assault being 65.0%. Murder is being considered the lowest, and aggravated assault being highest. Now, Noah will be taking on his next slide.
All right, thank you, Catherine. So the next few slides are going to be the results of our research questions and identifying the answers to them. So our first one was how old are violent crime offenders in California? And we found that the majority of offenders were from the age group of 25 to 29, with 30 to 34-year-olds being in second place, and 10-year-olds and under having little to no offenses. And we can utilize the data to get a grasp of which groups, which age groups, and which communities are in need and might need some help. All right, and then Catherine will help us out with our next research question.
Yes, our next research question is based off of rural cities and larger cities and their crime rates. Now, I did compare different cities, depending whether them being rural cities, again, like I said, or larger cities. Now, I did compare two most common ones, which that being Farmersville and Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a little bit lower than Farmersville, and considering Farmersville is a rural city, and it did take first place with it being 9.49%. I also discovered that the lowest crime is from Nevada to Bakersfield. Now, of course, in the future that could change, but as stated here for right now, Farmersville is in the lead, which along with the rural cities, and that is being per 1,000 people. Now, Noah and I will be taking on the next slide together.
All right, so our last research question was uh, does income and violent crime affect one another? And Catherine will help us out with analyzing the graph in our data.
Yes, right here we cross reference the household income data along with violent crime and race. Now, as you see right here below, it is to be shown that the higher the income, the lower the crime, and the higher the lower the income, the higher the crime. Now Noah will be explaining a little bit more about what that means.
All right, thank you, Catherine. So basically, what Catherine was saying that we can see that there is a difference between the income and the crime rate, but this may actually be due to population because there are a lot more Caucasian and Americans than there are Hispanic and Asians in this country. So that may be affecting the results of our data. So we really do need to have more investigation and more research to identify if we have any concrete conclusions on our hands. All right, and then Catherine will take us to the next slide.
For the discussion, we also have opportunity to identify the characteristics and aid to better understanding of the crime. We also have that with analyzing the rate between larger areas and smaller areas, it helps us identify where the crime is being most committed. Now,
All right.
Noah, will go ahead and explain a little bit more about what this.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of our research, we were able to cross reference a lot of factors and identify communities and individuals that might need a little bit of um, aid or help. And this research project just helps us identify those places and uh, gives us an idea of where we could help make a better place.
And this is our reference slide. This is all the information that we use to gather our data and other information that we have presented for you.
All right, and that concludes our presentation. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to listen to what we had to say. I hope you learned a thing or two, and that'll be all. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.